So let me give you like a pretty long roundabout, not necessarily long roundabout way of describing like a person like myself. So to explain who I am, hi Greg, to explain who I am, like I'm a Bedard. My last name is Bedard, which means that my father was a Bedard. But my mother wasn't a Bedard at all times. She was a Slack. And so Slacks have different histories that the Slacks do.
I'm sorry.
No, I know.
I was thinking of Joe from Family Guy. Yeah, but Mom, I want blue jeans. You're getting Slacks. Look, I peeked it.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you
Look
did.
out, Greg. Here comes the peak. Greg.
We'll wait to tell me that.
But anyways,
Here it comes, Craig.
So I'm from families of Bedards. I'm from families of Slacks. Cool. But that doesn't necessarily complete my family either, because my father had a father and a mother as well. And my mother is actually from Germany. She's actually an immigrant who came over because she was about to have my father, and we wanted to make sure my father was an American. So they moved over to the United States because my grandfather was also an American. So now I have a German family, which are known as Plinuses, that are also attached to the Bedard name. Bedards originally come from Boston. My dad lived in Florida for most of his life because they moved down from the Boston area, or Massachusetts area, I should say, because Boston's a city, not a state. Massachusetts area, and they moved down to Florida. My mom is originally from the Midwest, which is why I'm actually here in the Midwest, because she brought us back up, but she went down to Florida for school, and that's where she met. And then my grandmother on my mom's side of the family, who wasn't a Slack, was a Wright, who is a predominantly
left-handed person. It's okay, keep going.
I will kill you later. But they're Wrights, and they live up here in the Midwest, so they're also a Midwest-style family. So there's a huge concept of who I'm identified based on what my family was. And that's only one aspect. We haven't even talked about my personal experiences, my personal understanding of who we are. We just know that I'm a German, New England, Floridian, Midwesterner.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah.
I'm an adjective hog.
Well, but everyone...
I know, I'm just kidding.
But realistically, though, everyone is an adjective hog. Like, everyone. There's so many stuff to attach to a person when they are born that you have identity, understanding of that things. How many times have you done things naturally? You've never met this relative, but somehow you two have the same, like when you finally meet, you two have the same weird quirk about doing the same thing. It's genetic. We have these genes that come down and comes before us. So to label someone as broad as, oh, they're from the same generation, so therefore we all are the same, is ridiculous, because all four of us here are completely different individuals.
That's like trying to classify an animal on the kingdom level. Almost.
Exactly.
Or a level below it.
And that's
what is that, Greg?
Kingdom phylum. There we go.
and then
I am going to play devil's advocate here for just a second, though. I will say that there are some aspects of the younger generation that I think are losing certain art forms, in the sense that we grew up, and this is different for us, I'm talking even younger generation stuff. We grew up kind of learning how to read a map. How many people don't know how to read maps right now? Because you pull it up on your phone and you follow it and it gives you directions. And so I think we are a very well-informed group of people, but I think there are some basic skill sets that we are missing out on because we are so reliant on the big technology boom that happened as we grew up. And I don't necessarily think I don't think it's as terrible as people are trying to make it sound. That it's not that we're ruining things, it's just that things are being phased out, just like other things were phased out. But there are certain things that I do feel like
Or missing out.
we should have a little bit more immersion in that we don't.
That's the other thing too, though. I mean, my grandfather brought this up actually when I was with him about a couple months ago. Is the idea that, like, you know, when he was talking about when he was younger and he raised his family and he had, like, at the age of 19 got married to my grandmother and they lived forever and they
lived forever. They're still living forever.
No, actually,
Wow.
my grandmother died, but the
Oops.
you're fine.
I'm gonna live forever.
Stop.
Gonna learn how to fly.
But the whole point is what I'm saying is, like, they did their time doing this. My grandfather was a jack of all trades when it comes to the household. Since he had to build his house, he literally built
Right.
his house. He knows how to do plumbing. He knows how to do electricity. He knows how to do all that stuff. The problem is that unless you're a person who doesn't want the certain conveniences of, like, that's the other problem that I really actually can't stand, is the idea that, like, millennials just will never be able to do that stuff. They're not interested in that kind of stuff. It's like, no, we are busy.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and
we are busier than almost any other generation because of schooling and how
Right.
schooling's done. I mean, we have so much problems with, like, people graduating even through high school because there's just so much information coming into us at one time. We can't figure out how to do all the things that we need to do. And back then, when you didn't want to just graduate high school, that was okay because you could end up becoming a multimillionaire.
Right.
You can't now. We're not, the system that we live in doesn't allow that.
Right.
Well, and the school systems back then were more concerned about other things too.
Exactly.
Because Nalani's grandma just turned 90, and we were down at a family reunion not too long ago. She was talking about the differences she's noticed in the world. And one of the things she says, she remembers the times when, it was during one time of the year, they went from 9 o'clock until 4 o'clock, but then a different time of the year, they went from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m., so that after 3 o'clock, the kids could get home
With enough sunlight. To be
with
able
enough
to do the
sunlight to
farm
be able to
chores
work
and-
on farm chores with their parents and help with that. Like, I mean, it's still a thing that happens. I mean, I know it is because there's small farm communities around here, and I know that's just something that happens. Kids go home, they help on the farm until it's time for bed, go to bed, get up, go to school, and start the whole thing over again the next day. But it's one of those things, like, I don't know, I would never think that was a reason, you know? You think about, why do we start at 8 o'clock in the morning and go until 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever, you know? Why do we start and end when we do? It's based on what used to be, you know? It's
Right.
where I was going with this.
It's different. So the thing is about that is, like, yeah, they had different concerns. They had different reasons to do school, and they had different priorities. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
priorities were simpler. That's the other thing too, is, like, modern day priorities are a lot different because we are now we are in our country obsessed with career-based entrepreneurship.
Right.
We are obsessed with the idea that you have to make something of yourself and do something that is a career-based thing. And if you don't do that, then the alternative is you have to work 3 part-time jobs. That's the other alternative.
That's
You
the
have-
assumed alternative.
That's yeah,
Well-
pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You think like that, but you don't have to have 3 part-time jobs. You know, you don't necessarily need something to do something else. There are people who go to a trade school for 2 years and are paid off by the time they start their first job, working as a welder, working as somebody who an auto mechanic, and they still make great money and they live their life just fine. Or there are people who get into one job and work their way up and, like, make enough money that they can live a good life without an
But
extended
that's actually
education.
still goes to the career-based facility.
Right.
You still have to
Right.
find a career.
But I'm saying, yeah, I understand
Back
it's a career-based facility, but I feel like there's so much that people are pushing nowadays. It's like, you have to go to college to get the career. Otherwise, you can't have a good job. You're always
Yeah.
going to be working a part-time job somewhere. You know, when we say flipping burgers, like, it's such a bad thing, but if you can make
Oh, I
6
know.
figures flipping burgers,
That's
I'm
another
flipping
rant for another
burgers.
day. That's another rant for another day.
I think you and
Yeah.
I will be
Yeah.
very vocal about
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. Because that... Ooh.
What? Flipping burgers helped me pay for a good chunk of
Yeah.
me going to school, so.
This has been a good talk.
Well, and I do.
Just
I
trying
want to
to end
put. I do
We're
wanna-
at an hour right
Yeah,
now.
we're
I
actually an
know.
hour.
I
That's
wanna
why I'm
put
like-
one more thing out there, just because it's been something that I've been thinking about a lot lately with a lot of different things going on in current events and whatever. But I will also say that one thing I think instead of criticizing our generation for, we should be finding solutions and understanding better about is the social apps and the ability to both encourage and bully without ever having to even meet a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people, older generations, criticize us for being on our phones so much, so often, and not experiencing life. But at the same time, sometimes it's those online friends that you've met through video games or that you've met through whatever that are the ones that help you get through that rough day that you've had.
Totally.
Or it's that people just use the social media outlet so much that just because you see someone on their phone, it doesn't mean that they're just ignoring everything that's going on around them. It's that it's a different outlet. And I wish instead of it being criticized, we would be able to understand, appreciate, and honestly crack down a little bit more on the cyberbullying and that sort of stuff that's coming into existence. And appreciate, and that's one of the things that I actually really kind of appreciate about this new Saraha app or whatever it is that sometimes you just kind of need to have a friendly note. And you sometimes can't get that face to face. You have to look for different media outlets depending on your situation. And I wish it was just a little bit more socially accepted and understood aspect of life.
An arbitrary
Not a
system.
sponsor.
Yeah. I was gonna say, can you explain what Saraha is really quick? Because I haven't chance.
Saraha is basically it's a
comment forum.
It's an anonymous Facebook is basically what it is. People can write on your wall or send you an inbox
So
message.
you have a profile, but
You have a profile.
you can't
But
see anybody
people
else's.
can't see anything that other people have posted. You can't like friend anyone or anything. You just have to search for them and you leave an anonymous note.
So nothing is attached to anybody, pretty much.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, it's in one way there's no accountability, but at the same time, anonymity can be a beautiful thing.
Just knowing that there are people out there
Or maybe it's somebody
watching
you
you and
know.
appreciating and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's somebody out there. And you don't always get people aren't always that way to your face.
and I've
You don't need compliments all the time, but
No.
it is nice if someone tells you, hey, that was really cool, or hey, really good job, or...
Well, and how often in settings that it's not expected to get some sort of feedback do people actually give feedback?
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in numerous consumer type jobs where I can tell that people are appreciative and that sort of stuff, but unless it's in a setting where it's almost expected for you to give that feedback, people don't give it.
Yeah.
And that's face-to-face interaction.
I'm going to take the screen time just a little bit. I actually think this is a good transition to what I wanted to talk about a little bit as well. Yeah, go.
Take my screen time.
You as well.
Take my screen time.
Seriously though, anyone who wants to be part of these conversations through the comments section or any way possible to be part of our channel, this channel is meant for the community that we wish to build. We want to build a community. We want to build a community of people who have opinions. We want to build the ability to have people talk to us about things that they find interesting, and hopefully we will find interesting with them. You know, if you have your own channel where you will talk, where you're talking about stuff like millennials, like for example, when you did this video, we're talking about millennials today. Come talk to us about what you believed, you know, your opinions are, whether you're old or you're young, or whether you have completely different opinions. If you, like I said, if you support Trump, comment about it. It's okay. We're going to make sure on our comment section that the haters that are going to be out there are not going to take over our channel and put horrible comments on there. We will do our best to remove a lot of the hate that's involved. So if you feel comfortable stating your opinion. We're not going to come after you. We're not going to hate what you have to say. We might challenge what you have to say.
I might talk to you about it.
Yeah, we'll talk to you about it, but we're not gonna come at you with hate or ferocity or what is that? I can't read it.
It says like, comment, and subscribe.
Subscribe?
Subscribe.
You know, actually, that we're just gonna end the episode by just showing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Now
keep it.
it went away.
Oh well, okay then.
Oh,
I'll have to
well,
talk a
no.
little bit
we
more.
can't
Yeah,
end
just
it
keep
on
talking
that
a
one.
little bit.
Hello,
Well, we're all
people. How are you
very
doing?
understanding and
Yeah,
open-minded people to the
Exactly.
point where even if you would rather send a message or whatever, and you don't want to necessarily make it public to be able to have it scrutinized by others, we're open for discussion in pretty much any form. that
I
you feel
know
comfortable.
that most of my family members that I have disagree with my viewpoints on political and situational beliefs, and I really hope that they would support this channel like I know that they're doing, or just at least supporting me like I know that they're doing. That what are you doing?
Making a YouTube triangle.
Oh, cool.
It didn't work.
Anyways,
I'm a doodler.
yeah, please comment and do all the stuff. We're silly people. We love you all. Do your thing.
Bye. Hey, peeked it.